before you start to read this chapter on the objection of prospect is unable to talk to buyer due to their unavailability, it is criticality to glance over the key salient points. Okay? As a starter, please note that the contents of chapter has been included in this book for the sole purpose of solving the all-important problem of prospect not being able to see the buyers. In essence, we must be forewarned there are many versions of a buyer's unavailability to meet the sales professionals. Note also the psychology behind the time objection. Fortunately, in this there are 5 steps on how to overcome objections. Moreover, to help you finally to overcome this problem, there are 5 additional selected responses to use if all other solutions fail. That said, shall jump right to the chapter proper? Alright. Chapter 9. Objection of Buyers to Busy to Talk to Salesperson. Quote, no matter how busy you are, you must take time to make the other person feel important. Mary Kay Ash. She was an American businesswoman and founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics Incorporated. To tell the truth and nothing but the truth, many companies avoid purchases during especially busy times because their inventory is low. If a business is currently experiencing high demand or at a busy time, it may be wise for them not to purchase your product. But if you can show how your service will help during busy times and make their lives easier in the process, this will find you with an order on hand. Then we ask specifically this question: how to overcome objections when the prospect says, I'm just too busy. Fortunate for you that knowing how to overcome objections in sales is the key to your sales success. It's so critical this feels like a millionth blog post on the subject, and guess what? It won't be the last. Today I'm focusing specifically on time. Time can be a big hang-up for clients who are trying to make a decision. And time can be one of the more difficult objections you get. Time shows up in a few different ways. These are: I'm too busy right now, it's not the right timing, call me back in a few months, can you just email me the details, I don't have time to get on a call. And I'm sure there are other ways it shows up. That's just a few I hear often. Before dwelling in this kind of objection, I want to share a little bit of psychology behind the time objection before we get into the core of the chapter. Alright, time is not actually the issue. We all have 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, and 365.4 days in a year. We have to count the 1/4 day because I am a leap year baby, and that 1/4 day adds up to one magical day once every 4 years for me. And in that time, we choose what is most important to us. We choose to put our time into maintaining our status quo life, or we put our time into building the life we want. We cannot make more time. We cannot borrow time. We cannot find time. We can only dedicate time. Believe me, clients are also dedicating time. Maybe not to their highest priority things, but still they are choosing where to spend that time. Quite often here are some of the realities behind a client saying they don't have enough time. They are lacking in support and feel overwhelmed by their current load and are hesitant to take on anything else. They are disorganized, frantic, and struggle to keep their life organized and worry they will fail. They are indecisive and think putting off the decision will somehow make it easier. Then you might ask, why does this matter? When you are learning how to overcome objections in sales, particularly time, you've got to understand it doesn't always have the same root. And when you are overcoming this objection, it's helpful to understand their situation a little bit more. So here's how I write this strategy or steps out. These are 5 steps on how to overcome objections in sales. Specifically areas of being too busy, it's not the right time, etc. Steps number 1: acknowledge the objection. So it sounds like you are interested, but you restate their time concern as they stated it, i.e. you're not sure it's the right time. You are too busy, etc. Does that sounds accurate? Step number 2: ask a question. May I ask you a question? If we set aside timing for a minute, do you think this is the right program/product/service for you? And is time an issue in general in your life? Step number 3. Do I have permission to brainstorm with you and see if we can figure out a solution to the timing challenge? Because I know you want X now, but you don't have time to do what it takes to get you there. If you're open to brainstorming with me, I think we can come up with a plan. Step number 4. Inform. I always love using questions to help people find their own answers rather than me telling them what I think. So here are some good questions that will help you see what type of time challenge you are dealing with. Step number 5. If you were to take this on now, what would be your specific concerns? And what would be the benefits? So there you have it. How to overcome sales objections about time. This one can be a little bit tricky. Often merchants want to nicely get rid of salespeople. So, we hear this objection, "Oh, that sounds great. But I have too much going on right now. I have too much on my plate." For your further info, here are 5 additional selected responses to handle "I'm too busy" objections. The reason this is such a popular response with prospects is that most salespeople don't know how to handle it, and so are easily put off and happy to call back later. Of course, this is just what the prospect wants them to do, and, since they now have your caller ID hashtag, they'll know to let the call go to voicemail the next time they see it. To help you deal with this no time to talk to brush off more effectively, I urge you to pick any of the responses below that best suits your style, product, and service. Feel free to change them slightly so they are most comfortable for you to use, and then practice them each and every time you get this objection. In fact, there are 3 examples of responses to a "no time for you" objections. Starting with, "I'm too busy to talk right now." Response 1, "I completely understand, and I know what it's like to be interrupted. Tell you what, before I schedule a call back with you, let's take just a moment now to make sure this is something that's even worth it for me to call you back on. Quick question, how open are you to considering a new vendor to handle your product or service, if you found you could realistically save your already limited time and money?" Response 2, "I'm with you, and let's face it, we're all too busy until we hear about something that can really benefit us. Let me tell you in a nutshell how this can help you, and then if you'd like to know more, we can schedule a time that's better later." Fair enough. If yes, then briefly give a description and use a qualifying tie-down question. Response 3, "Got it, and I won't keep you." Quick question, are you the right person to speak with in regards to your product or service? If yes, great, then before I schedule a time to get back with you, let me just ask you 2 quick things. Number 1, if you found that you could increase, list a benefit or 2, and reduce your, again, list a benefit or 2, how open would you be to viewing a demo on it? And 2, if you decided this was worthy enough to seriously consider, who, besides yourself, would weigh in on making that decision? Great, then let's go ahead and schedule that. I've got 2 times tomorrow. Once again, remember that your job is to earn the right to ask a few qualifying questions to see if your prospect is even worth putting on your callback list. And by using the above scripts, you'll be able to do just that. All in all, this chapter concerning no time for the salesperson to present, is really an important issue to face up in our career in selling. Trust me, this type of objection is a universal problem encountered by rookie and senior sales professionals. Its importance cannot be underrated. True, jokes aside, in a nutshell, do recall there are numerous variations of a buyer's unavailability to meet up with the sellers. Again, note also the psychology behind buyers' lack of the time objection. Recall that there are 8 steps on how to triumph over objections. Moreover, there is the 5 extra aids for you to eventually to conquer this problem. Armed with knowledge of handling the "no time for you" objection, we must constantly watch out for its reoccurrence and be able to solve them amiably. Possible? You bet. To wrap up this chapter, here is interesting quote by Dinesh Karthik. He is an Indian professional cricketer who nationally plays for the Indian cricket team. He says, "Sometimes you are so busy you forget to appreciate what you have." End of chapter.